Kubor nakaslem jong unong san Hima.
May honorable member from Maulai. Before I initiate discussion, sir, I also join my fellow members to thank the government for the effort taken to protect the interests, the health, the lives of people and the citizens of our state. And my deepest appreciation goes to all the health workers, the doctors, the nurses, the frontliners, the ashas and Ganwadis who have dedicated their time, their effort. They have burned the midnight oil to protect their fellow human beings, the citizens. At the same time, to ensure that their loved ones at home stay safe. So much has been presented before this august house on the expenses and the need of the hour to be accountable, to present before the people of the state on how the government has spent the amount, the 399 crore, maybe till that time, maybe now, we don't know whether it will exceed more, and how this amount is being justified in terms to contain the coronavirus, to protect the lives of citizens, at the same time to augment the healthcare services in order to protect the citizens that have been affected by the coronavirus. Till yesterday, sir, I think the figure has come to about 10,000 plus affected citizens, more than 100 deaths, and we condone the loss of lives, and also our condolences goes to the family members who have lost their loved ones due to the virus that has taken away the lives of their family members unexpectedly during this pandemic. We still stand here, sir, afraid that a second wave may come, because with the onset of winter, perhaps, as we're seeing in some of the countries, that a second wave has set in. Some countries have again gone into lockdown, and this is the time that we're getting to think as whether the steps that we have taken in the past few months were correct, or corrective measures have to be taken in order to protect the lives of our citizens in the coming few months. Whether funds will be available, whether we need to reorient the entire expenditure. So, today there was a start question number 31 which didn't come up for discussion, where the government has said that they have established a state response team chaired by the Commissioner Secretary, Health and Family Welfare, right from 24th of March 2020, which meets on a regular basis to discuss, deliberate on various situations, protocols, issues pertaining to COVID-19. And the state response team is monitoring the current COVID-19 pandemic situation from different units. And more or less the responsibility that has been vested upon the state response team was to monitor the entire pandemic situation and the affected cases on the corona. But then, sir, going to the reply of the government, it is really seen that this state response team has not been vested with any financial powers, nor the responsibility to monitor the financial expenses of the government. The expenses have gone haywire. Multiple sources have been utilized to meet the expenses that have been declared. From the CM's relief fund, there have been contribution. Today, there's a supplementary demand of an additional 7 crores to meet the expenses. Whether this amount has been spent, or it has just come for regularization, or this amount is in addition to the already expended amount. From the health department, from the budgeted amount of the department also, an amount has been spent. Under NHM, as the honorable member from Ram has already highlighted, a lot of amount has been spent. Industries Department has also stepped up, sir. 3 crore 32 lakh 12,040 rupees for supply of mask. And suddenly this Industries Department, who gave them the authority, where did they supply this mask? Who got 3 crore 32 lakh, sir, 12,040 rupees just only for supply of masks from the Industries Department? What kind of masks have been supplied has not been mentioned. But then if you take at the rate of even 10 rupees per mask also, considering the bulk supply, there should have been 33 lakh masks. We have 5 to 6 lakh households in the state and 33 lakh population. So by this measure, everyone should have got one mask from the Industries Department. Now this is in addition to the masks that have already been supplied by Health Department under its regular budget, by the Health Department under NHM, from the CM Relief Fund, contributions from various civil society members. But I doubt whether these masks have actually been supplied. If an audit goes also, where will we find these masks now? 3 crores are for masks. That also from Industries Department. Labour Department has spent its own to meet the requirements of daily wage earners, labourers, drivers. I hope drivers have been covered. Our hawkers. But again, a supplementary demand has again come up today. Additional 13 crores from the Labour Department to meet the expenses. So whether this amount has already been spent or you need an additional amount, that also we do not know. Perhaps the government may like to clarify. And under DMF, District Mineral Fund, from that also, sir, amounts have been spent for the meeting the expenses of COVID. When I was trying to trace the amounts that have been disbursed from the government to the various districts, I came to learn that some 27 lakh was earmarked for Ribhoi district under DMF. And the DMF normally has to sit, a committee is there at the district level. But then they have bypassed the committee and this amount has gone directly for COVID expenses. So, multiple sources have pulled in to meet the expenses for the pandemic. And this shows there is gross financial mismanagement. Because if you talk about prudence in financial management, sir, there should be a source. A state response team was there, but then the state response team was only looking at monitoring the cases, but then it has not been vested with the power and the responsibility to at least monitor the funds that are coming from various sources, so that there is no duplicacy. For under NHM, 8 lakh liters of the sanitizer was purchased, but from the district also they were purchasing. We MLAs also had to give to the hospitals. This duplicacy could have been avoided. Sir, Ribhoi district had played a major role, thanks to the Deputy Commissioner, the police officers, all the officers that were there to guard the COVID checkpoint at Ribhoi. Officers were kept in cycles, they were given duties, first with 6 hours, then 4 hours. Even till today, they are attending to the duties at the COVID checkpoint there in Pynïohnong. Sir, I want to know from the government whether the officers who had attended to the duties at the COVID checkpoint were provided with travel expenses. I wouldn't expect DA, but then were they provided with travel expenses? When I consulted and discussed with the officers who had attended, 6 months, not a penny. Not a penny, sir. Junior officers, senior officers, they were expected to pay from their salaries. They reach home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Immediately after that, they have to get up and go and attend their official duties. But then, why is the government ignoring the officers? They were there 24/7 to guard the COVID checkpoint, following the instructions of the government, but they have to spend from their own pocket. Now 399 crores, I don't know where it has gone. It is expected that at least some travel fare be given to the officers. Sir, this example is only for Ibhoy. I don't know for the other COVID checkpoints across the state, whether the same measure has been extended. Sir, overheads. When we're talking about financial management, sir, it is expected that the essential items should be purchased from the nearest point so that the cost of overheads will be minimized. Quarantine homes that are under my constituency, they have to wait. BDO has not been vested with the authority. They have to wait for the essential items to come all the way from Nongpo, and that also after a delay of 10 days. And when they get, some of the households were unlucky enough to get rotten items circulated in social media. Some of the quarantine essential items, they reached after the COVID management committees at the village level, they have spent from their own pocket. So these added expenses from the village, from the MLAs, from the MDCs, this should be piled onto the amount that has been spent of 399 crores plus. The essential items were expected to reach on time. But then since you have to order right away from Nongpo, 65 kilometers away, 50 kilometers away, why wasn't the BDO at the local level given the responsibility? We get a call from these COVID management committees asking, this household, there's only a mother. Her child has been crying for 2 days now because there are no essential items. She has been put under quarantine. What do we do? Call the BDO. No response. We don't know, sir. We are also waiting for orders. At that time, myself and the community, we had to come together, pool. The essential items came 14 days after the quarantine period was over. Sir, when we talk about compensation to support the daily wage earners, the hawkers, the ones who have really suffered due to loss of livelihoods. Sir, I was surprised at the secret manner in which these people were identified. Only few people knew. Some headmen knew, some did not know. Some committees were informed, some did not know. We MLAs were never informed. So that will spread the awareness, so that there will be no one left out. That's why we are left today with what the Honourable Member from Maulai had said, some have got, some have not got. It seems like you're putting people on a race. In spite of losing livelihoods, the compensation was also done in a very haphazard manner. Everybody has suffered. Everybody has suffered, sir. How do I explain to one household that no, the last date is over? How do I explain to the single mother who feeds her children? How do I explain to the manual laborer who has lost his livelihood for 4 months that he is not entitled because that last date was over? Is there any last date, sir, for this corona? Similarly, for the essential items, still some households were going under quarantine for the past, last week they were going under quarantine. Nearly 10 households were asking for essential items. Now, should we tell that essential items are not anymore available, or they are still available? Whom do we ask? Everybody is silent now. We ask from the district, no response. Sir, COVID management committees. Honorable CM had promised that he'll be giving 5,000 rupees on the floor of this house to the COVID management committees to meet their expenses. Then later on we could see in the press that this was raised to 10,000. But until now, there are many COVID management committees who did not get a single penny. Many. Under my constituency, 5 villages, they came together under Umroi to form a COVID management committee on their own behest because they couldn't see the suffering of the households. Some households could not even have a proper place to quarantine their family member. My appreciation goes to all the villages, to all the headmen, because it is their own voluntary exercise that they have come forward to set up the COVID management units and at the same time set up the quarantine centers. Just last week I met one headman from the urban area. I asked, did you get your 5,000 rupees? Yes, we got. But then after writing in the press, we got. Why, sir, do we have to write in the news? To get whatever the Honorable CM had already promised to the people? Means the ones who are silent, whether they still wait, whether they should keep quiet, or whether they also should come to the streets and ask for the 5,000 rupees in spite of all the hard labor and effort they have put in? Sir, recently the Honorable CM had given a statement when there was a sudden spurt in the cases in the urban areas of Shillong, that lockdown will not contain the virus. Has this realization dawned too late, sir, on the union and the state government, that lockdown was never the answer in the first place? After we have lost livelihoods, after people have suffered due to the sudden closure of shops and being made to spend in excess because there was uncontrolled rise of the prices. People were made to line up from morning till evening for hours to get few bags of rice. So do we call this management or mismanagement? Tottering the line of the union government because of MHA orders, without realizing, without seeking scientific suggestions. At a time when the virus was not there, the entire state was under lockdown, and when the virus was everywhere around the city, the entire city was opened up. Before the onset of winter really starts and dawns upon us, these issues, difficulties, hardships that have been faced, I have brought to the floor of this house in order to alert the government. Perhaps the Honorable CM has done his best, has given his all out, sir. During the month of March, April, he was there giving all the press conferences online, trying to give assurance to the people that nothing will happen to the state, where the government was there to protect them. But sir, these instances, people are now losing confidence. If we go to the markets, if we see the people, in the rural areas especially, nobody is bothered to wear masks anymore. Because they say Corona is only benefiting the suppliers. Corona is benefiting only those people who have businesses to do with the government at this time. For the poor people, it's like squeezing the livelihoods. Farmers selling their produce at throwaway prices. So, with these few submissions, I have brought to the notice of the government, hoping that the problems that have been faced by the people, misconceptions that have been built around this entire expense, be clear. And the duplicacy which we are seeing now in terms of expenditure be set right. And the state response team should look into all these expenses, and I also second the proposal given by the Honourable Member for Mawsynram, that a dedicated account, dedicated head of account, dedicated team should look into this so that further loss is not incurred to the state, and we will protect not only the lives of the citizens, but the precious resources that are being spent in the fight for coronavirus. So with these few words, sir, I wish the government of the day the very best. At the same time, give our assurance that we'll be there together, hand in hand, to support the government in this fight and also to protect the lives of our citizens. These few words, sir, I resume my seat, sir.